Episode 1 of Bleach begins with the scientist Mayuri looking over a blue map of Korokara Town. This map lights up red dots when hollows appear in different parts of the city. So 2 low-level warriors were sent on the mission to exterminate the hollows and protect the civilians. However, Ryunosuke was terrified of the things that can possibly happen on the mission, but Shino kept trying to reinforce his confidence. Both warriors split up, heading to the north and the other heading to the south. Once the warriors got to the destination, instead of Ryunosuke doing his job, we catch him moping on the top of the ledge of a bridge until a hollow appeared from the darkness. Ryunosuke starts running down the street, calling Shino for help, hoping that she would come and rescue him. But once Ryunosuke arrived at Shino's location, she appeared unconscious in the hands of a giant hollow. After a hollow struck Ryunosuke, the substitute Soul Reaper and the crew arrives. We have Orihime, Yasutora, the Quincy Ishida, and the king himself, Ichigo. Bro, when Ichigo first turned into his Bankai, I was so excited. I did like 5 backflips in my chair. 2 days later, we see Ryunosuke finally waking up at Ichigo's house, realizing he survived. Ichigo tells him that he's been unresponsive for 24 hours, and Ichigo is glad that he is woke. Ryunosuke looks to his right and sees Shino walk into the room. When Shino saw Ryunosuke finally woke up, she attacked him hilariously. But suddenly, a tall, slim man with a hollow's mask entered the window of Ichigo's house. The man told everyone that his name is Eburn, and Ichigo kicked him outside the house immediately. This reminds me of something The Rock would do.
But my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Now we see the Captain Mayuri looking over the areas of the Soul Society and sees the city is being attacked as well. The scene cuts to the invaders reaching the head chief and commander, Yamato. Yamato wants to know what brings them there. The invaders tell Yamato that his security is weak and he should increase the strength of his warriors. Furthermore, the head invaders stated that their #1 goal is just to declare war. Yamato tries to strike the group with his fiery sword and power, but the group that infiltrated, they escaped quickly. Ichigo and Eburn begins to fight above Korokara Town, but something seems very peculiar. Eburn is not going full strength on Ichigo, so Ichigo gets serious and tries to enter into Bankai, but Eburn pulls out his medallion and tries to take away Ichigo's Bankai. However, this attempt didn't work, so Ichigo appeared behind him and placed his sword on his neck, asking him who was he and why is he here. But the invader Eburn slowly dispersed in black smoke to escape the situation. Next we see an abstract mansion located in another dimension that appears on the screen. Inside is the invaders that declared war on the Soul Society. So one member had a problem. He created an issue with Eburn, and suddenly his arm got chopped off by the leader of the crew named Yawatch. Yawatch stated that he hates arguing and conflict in his presence. Foundation stones. The inception of this thrilling story starts off precisely where we left off in the last episode. The leader of this organization just declared war on the Soul Society, and now he's chastising the members because of their incompetence. But I want you to listen to these words the leader uttered to Ludus. This shows you how careless and ruthless he is as a leader. The Majesty told his wounded soldier, "If you aren't going to sit, I suppose you don't need your legs." Bro, that was crazy. But the camera cuts to Ichigo's friend sitting on the floor eating Panera bread, discussing if Ichigo survived the attack from Eburn. Orihime looks at Ishida and tells him that the number one thing she likes about him is how Ichigo and Ishida became friends because previously they didn't see eye to one another. Ichigo returns through the window and Ryunosuke received a phone call from the Department of Research and Development, telling them 57 minutes ago they were infiltrated by an unidentified individuals that annihilated a squad member, Lieutenant Sasakabe. Or Sasakabe. Hey, I don't know how to pronounce that. In the comments below, can y'all tell me how to pronounce that? Alright, let me continue. Later that day, we see the squad grieving after the loss of a squad member, and Ichigo left to patrol the area for hollows. However, he was attacked from the sky by a longtime friend named Nell. The scene transitions back to the leader of the faction questioning his soldiers about the war and didn't receive the answers that he was looking for, so he eliminated his own members starting with Ludus and then Eber. I kinda like those characters, but dang, they gone. The leader walks up neon blue stairs talking about how he just invaded Hueco Mundo and captured an Amunxroyal. But once he got to the top of the stairs, we see which one he captured. It is the Espada number 3, Tierra Haribel. Wow, this man is a true menace to society. You mean to tell me he just invaded Hueco Mundo and captured whoever he wanted to? This is about to be a bloodbath in the upcoming episodes. Now we see all the captains, lieutenants, and the squads gathered for the Lieutenant Sasakabe's funeral. This scene is very cinematic, displaying everyone's emotions without a speech or words, just silence. The hollow that escaped Hueco Mundo tells Ichigo and friends that after number 1 and number 2 Espada had died, she became king of Hueco Mundo. And recently she was captured by the unidentified group. And oh my gosh, when they showed how the leader of the group approached this battle, it was insane. Just look at him. He's a powerful, preternatural, uncanny psycho. Hey, but I'm not gonna lie, he looks dope as heck. So when Ichigo decided to get to Hueco Mundo to save the Amunxroyal, Urahara shows up. This was impeccable timing and perfect moment. So everyone arrived in Hueco Mundo. So the first thing they see is the unidentified army's troops harvesting slaves to take to a man called Stern Rider J. So I'm guessing that this is the name of the unidentified group called Stern Riders, and everyone that possesses a letter in their name are captains. I like it. Next thing we see is slaves that have their back pressed against the wall, trembling in fear, frightened about the things that are about to transpire. Stern Rider J gets up and lectures them about opportunity, then impales one of the slaves after another. And then another one. Another one. Once he got to the last 2 slaves, 2 Amunxroyals exposed themselves and tried to fight him to save their lives. But quickly, the Stern Rider J dispatched the 2 Amunxroyals. But when Letter J begins walking away, he turned around and looked behind him and sees his men getting slaughtered. When he looked up, he saw more Amunxroyal arrive to fight for Hueco Mundo. Moments later, Ichigo finally arrived and seen all the Amunxroyals laying on the floor incapacitated. The moment the Stern Rider J laid eyes on Ichigo, he told him a secret, that he's a Quincy. Yo! And then episode 2 ends. The first thing we see is Ichigo and Nil looking down at the Stern Rider preparing to fight this powerful enemy. Nil is surprised that he defeated the Tres Bestias without breaking a sweat. Kyuge started his attack first on Ichigo using a familiar technique called Hirinkiyaku. He surrounds Ichigo while pointing arrows at his torso, creating a massive explosion after impact. After Ichigo evades his attack, he really wanted to know, is he really a Quincy or is he bluffing? Kyuge indeed confirmed that he is a Quincy and there is no reason to lie about it. The scene quickly cuts to the head captain commander asking his captains, what's the enemy's headquarters location so we can deal the first attack? One of the captains spoke up and answered that no one knows where their headquarters are at the moment. This group is very discreet and mysterious. The head commander responds saying that the best option is just to prepare for war so the enemy can never gain the upper hand again. Ichigo looks at Kyuuge and asks him if he knew Ishida. Kyuuge agreed, but not in a typical way by saying yes, but by saying his last name, Ishida Urius. Ichigo was shocked but wanted to know more, but Kyuuge quickly said that speech is silver and silence is gold. When I first heard that, I was like, man, that's a powerful statement. And I enjoyed the language the writers gave Kyuuge because it shows that he's not just some random enemy that's strong. He's someone that possesses a nice amount of wisdom. Kyuuge didn't want to play around anymore and entered his awakening form called Let's Still. He takes off his glove like Michael Jackson did on stage in front of millions and transformed into an angel with a halo on top of his head. Bro, when they showed his feet, I started laughing because he literally is wearing high heels in this form. At least they could have gave him some boots or something. Ichigo and Kyuuge started to spar with one another, but no one was dealing a hard blow. Ichigo tries to use his favorite technique and chop Kyuuge's head off, but his sword didn't even penetrate his neck. This isn't going to be as easy as I thought. Seconds later, the Thresh Bestias created a monster and attacked Kyuuge from behind. The monster repeatedly bashed Kyuuge in the ground, breaking his neck and bones. The scene transitions to Ishida in the library trying to find a book that will give us some type of information about the enemy, but his mentor stopped him from investigating further. Ryunosuke and friend was stopped by the 6th seat Kajimoru. He explains to them that the purpose of the Soul Reapers is to keep balance between the Soul Society and the real world, but because the Quincy's are destroying Hollows completely, it created an imbalance between both worlds. Ishida found his master's diary in his office, and it states the Soul Reapers tried to make a covenant with the Quincy's in the past, but nothing worked. So the Soul Society made a hard decision and decided to destroy all the Quincy's at that time. So because the grudge that the remaining Quincy's possess, it turned into a greater force that the Soul Society has to deal with now. This is a really good backstory on why the Quincy's are invading and why they declare war. I understand that might change in the future because I know that all war is based off deception, but it's a very good start. Yamamoto is talking to Mayuri, the captain of the 12th Division, about the war. And we find out something that is very, very interesting. Mayuri yelled at Yamamoto saying if he had killed Yawatch when they fought many years ago, this war that is currently happening would never manifest. This entails us that the leader of the group has more history with Yamamoto in the past and raises more questions. Moments later in Wakamundo, Kyuuge gets up from the ground and repaired his broken neck. He uses another technique he had up his sleeve to absorb the enemy's powers. However, we see Kyuuge's halo break off the top of his head and then see Ichigo attack him from the sky. But we head back to Soul Society and we see a blue stream of light arising from the ground like a geyser. Floating in the air is the powerful leader Yawatch invading the headquarters himself. But I don't think he's alone because we see a member of one of the division squad gets their right arm severed off his body. So when everyone looked back at the entrance of the Soul Society, they see the Stern Riders arrived, assisting Yawatch in the 1,000-year Blood War. So the first thing we see is Sereti engulfed in blue flames throughout the 16 locations of the city. Many people in the city have been slaughtered already and the war just started moments ago. A captain of the division squad appears to be frustrated and angry towards the effects of the war. He confirms that over 1,000 people already died since the invasion began. The Stern Riders are not wasting no time with this invasion. Their infiltration skills are at an all-time high. At the gate entrance of Sereti, a Stern Rider walks straight towards the division squad's group. He told them to run away because there is no way they can stand a chance against him. But no! Someone challenged the Stern Rider and got sliced directly down the middle of his body. On the ground, his blood splashed and episode 4 title appears, Kill the Shadow. Whoever directed this is in his bag right now. He waited for a great moment to show the title to emphasize that this is a true blood war. We now see a new member of the organization named Stern Rider U. Every time they show a new Stern Rider, I'm so compelled to see what type of abilities they have. These characters are so mysterious in their own way. Here is another member that's also shown, which is Stern Rider F. So at this moment, we see some captains fighting the Stern Riders, testing their strength to see what they are up against. Byakuya walks in the battlegrounds like he about to tear up everybody and release his Zanpakuto ability. The Stern Rider hand was then slashed by the pink shards and he looked extremely shocked to see his hand cut. Byakuya tells the Stern Rider's partner not to make any sudden moves, and the next scene we see him fall through the ground. Byakuya uses his next technique, using it to surround his opponent, but it just didn't work. The other captains are also having a very hard time finding the enemies and trying to figure out their true abilities. Byakuya turns his sword upside down and prepares to release his Bunkai. But Renji informs the captain, if you use your Bunkai, it will be sealed away. Byakuya responds saying that this is the only way. Byakuya released his Bunkai and immediately the Stern Rider stole his Bunkai. The same thing happened to the other captains that are in battle as well. Everyone is surprised, then realized that their calculations was wrong. The Stern Riders didn't seal the Bunkais away, they steal them. Mayuri calls everyone an idiot because nobody waited till his research was finished before they made a horrible decision on the battlefield. The captain in the research center then calls Ichigo Kurosaki, but currently he's in battle, so Urahara answered. He then informs them that everyone's Bunkai can get stolen, except for Ichigo's Bunkai for some reason. The scene cuts to Ichigo fighting Stern Rider J, overpowering him easily, throwing him to the ground. Ichigo asks the Stern Rider, why do you want to steal our Bunkais? The Stern Rider says he doesn't have to answer anything to you. And quickly, Urahara blasted the Stern Rider's chest with an energy blast, leaving him incapacitated on the ground. He throws Ichigo the phone and told him to head back to Soul Society now. But on the way, we see an energy blast closing the exit towards Sereti. When we look back at Wako Mundo, we see the Stern Riders survive Urahara's blast and injure Chad and Orihime. The Stern Rider then says that the leader told him to keep Ichigo at bay even if it cost him his life. Then sealed Ichigo in a prison ball. After Kyogate locked Ichigo in the dimension, he holds his hands at the seal and utters, Ichigo will remain in that prison until Soul Society falls. The inception of this episode begins in the Research and Development Center using the intercom to all the captains and lieutenants, informing the army that the substitute Soul Reaper is arriving to Soul Society to assist them in battle and his Bankai cannot be stolen by the invaders. When the captains and lieutenants heard this information, they were tremendously excited because Ichigo was the one that defeated Lord Aizen. Akon stands up from his desk and states that Ichigo's spiritual pressure dispersed from the radar and is stuck in Garganta. But when he tried to give his co-workers orders, Jibanyo, the giant, broke through the walls of the research facility. Ichigo picks up his phone and hears everyone getting slaughtered by the powerful invaders. Kyogate revealed why he was named Stern Rider J from the leader, and it's because the letter J stands for jail, to trap his opponents in prison. Kyogate turns towards Chad and Orihime to finish them off, but a red energy sword sliced him in half like a knife through butter. They never revealed who the person is, but if you have any idea who you think it is, place it in the comments below so we can discuss about it. Byakuya starts telling Renji to use his observation skills to understand the enemy's abilities so he can counter him in the future. Byakuya then asks himself a question on the prominent sensation he's currently feeling. Stern Rider F tells him that the sensation is not poison, it's fear. That's probably why the leader gave him the letter F. So once the victim is cut with his blue shards, the fear enters the bloodstream and slowly takes over the host. Byakuya tries to strike the Stern Rider, but he completely failed at his attempt. Stern Rider F struck Byakuya in the chest, causing his body to collapse. The Stern Rider explains that fear has no limits or boundaries as millions of flies crawls up Byakuya's body. Byakuya screamed in agony and snapped back to reality, preparing to destroy the enemy once and for all. However, the Stern Rider raised his hand in the air and used Byakuya's Bankai against him, Sanbuzakura, looking down on him as victory shrouds his eyes. I really love scenes like this where the writers and directors create memorial moments through imagery like a mural on the wall. But it's not over. the Stern Rider summoned a halo of Byakuya's power and attacked him with his own most powerful attack, Inspiring. Renji tried to save the captain but was quickly taken care of by the masked man that resembles a Mexican wrestler. Kenpachi walks towards the leader of this tyrannical group and throws 3 bodies on the ground. Kenpachi goes on to explain how he took the Stern Riders down one by one. The first one he slit in 2 pieces. The second one he ripped out his throat because he was talking too much. Y'all remember that moment when Ishiki stomped on Sasuke's face for talking too much? That moment was dope. Check the video out if you haven't seen it on my channel. And the third guy transformed himself into Kenpachi's doppelganger, but lost the battle very quickly. Kenpachi is literally a straight monster. Now we see our next Stern Rider, which is Stern Rider O, the Overkill. He talks about how he eliminated a lieutenant the same exact way by throwing an arrow of pure energy. However, Yamamoto arrived to the battlefield to protect his member of his army. When Yamamoto arrived, the Stern Rider stated that he was looking for him just to use his subordinate's Bankai to destroy his existence. Drico summoned his subordinate's Bankai that died in the very first episode, and we see a purple circle of energy that rains down the power of Ryatsu. Yamamoto had a flashback when Lieutenant Sasuke first used his Bankai that gave him his second scar on his forehead. Yamamoto was filled with rage as he struck the Stern Rider with his Zanpakuto, burning him to ashes. After all the captains and lieutenants saw how serious the head captain was fighting, they were inspired by his actions to never give up. In the beginning, we see Yamamoto walking towards the enemy as Yhwach holding Kenpachi by the neck. Instantaneously, Yamamoto saved Kenpachi from dying by the hands of the Quincy's ferocious leader. But up in the air, Yamamoto was attacked by 3 Quincy's that tried to ambush him, but that idea failed horribly as Yamamoto set them all on fire. Yhwach asked Yamamoto, "You look like you want to say something." And before Yhwach can finish what he was about to say, Yamamoto sliced his left arm, causing him to bleed. Bro, episode 6 started off extremely epic with the battle between Yamamoto and Yhwach. This is exactly what we were looking for. So the fight continues on top of the roof of a house, and we see Yamamoto avoids the attack that Yhwach created. Once they both landed on the ground, Yamamoto tried to annihilate him from the side, but Yhwach's counterattack cut the flames precisely in half while drawing out his sword. Real quick, if you were wondering why Yamamoto only has 1 arm, it's because he lost it by protecting the world of the living from a massive explosion using a forbidden Kido spell. So I just wanted to catch everyone up that might not know about it, or the ones that might forgot about it, because I know I did. And another thing, I'm so used to calling Yhwach Yhwach, okay? So if you hear me say Yhwach, I'm talking about Yhwach, okay? So, and I tried to correct myself over 100 times, man, but I'm working on it, okay? So just cut me some slack. All right, let's continue. Yhwach told Yamamoto don't be excited that he drew his sword, and Yamamoto answered saying that he wants to crush him totally until there's nothing left, and all of a sudden the entire color of the battlefield turned pure white. Then we see one of the captains say that his throat is dry, and then we see another captain's lips begin to crack. So at this point I'm like, what in the world is going on that's causing water to evaporate, lips to start bleeding, and throats to be dry? Then the screen cuts back to Yamamoto, and we finally see something that the Bleach fans wanted to see for a very long time, even when he fought Aizen. Yamamoto looks at the camera and says, "Bankai, Zanka no Tachi." This moment was so dope. So now we understand what was causing the air to be dry and water to evaporate. This is really freaking cool. Even though his Bankai is visually underwhelming, wait till you see what his Bankai can do that makes all of this so crazy. Yhwach is looking at Yamamoto's blade and see the sword covered in black with fire burning from the inside. Yhwach's facial expression is priceless in this moment. He really looked like he doesn't know what in the world is going on at all. Yamamoto tries to strike down Yhwach, but misses entirely. However, when his sword touches the ground, everything explodes in the direction it's facing. Yamamoto explains that his technique is called Zanka no Tachi East, where flames don't burn but explode. Yhwach tried to attack Yamamoto with his sword, but his sword evaporated instantly because of the heat that surrounds his body. Yamamoto then used his Zanka no Tachi West, that is 50 million degrees Celsius. Yo, Day, pause the video. If this was really true, no one would be able to even get 10,000 miles close to him, and we see Yhwach standing 20 feet away. This is just absurd. We can't even go outside in the summer heat when it's 109-degree weather. People will have heat strokes and pass out. But I know this don't make no sense, but that's what make it tight, honestly. His Bankai is so stupid that it's tight. Yamamoto starts to walk towards Yhwach, blazing like the fiery sun, trying his best to end this battle as quickly as possible before Soul Society burns down. Now I see why no one has beaten him in the last 1,000 years. Meanwhile, we see Ishida under the bridge reading the historic battle between the Soul Reapers and Quincy's. He said that 1,000 years ago, a group named Bleach tried to eliminate all Hollow from existence and invaded the Soul Society, but the 13th Court Guard Squad defeated them. Then 200 years ago, the 13th Guard Squad couldn't come to an agreement with the Quincy's, so they eliminated the majority of them, maintaining balance in the world. Then Ishida begins to have a memory about him and Ichigo discussing about the war. I really do believe that their friendship will come to an end, because Ishida is a Quincy at heart and Ichigo is a Soul Reaper at heart. And one thing I know about them, they're not going to convert to neither side. This is definitely going to be very interesting in the upcoming chapters. Yamamoto gets ready to attack Yhwach, but he summoned the most powerful protection seal that protects him from any attack. Yamamoto stops in front of Yhwach's seal and strikes his sword into the ground. He then Zanka no Tachi South to awaken the undead. 100 of skeleton corpses rise from their grave, walking towards Yhwach to annihilate him. The skeletons surrounded Yhwach and turned into his fallen comrades that died in battle. Yamamoto stated that the Stern Riders can only seal someone's Bankai by having intel on the individual, and the reason why they couldn't steal his Bankai is because no one's seen his Bankai over 1,000 years. Yhwach breaks free and walks towards Yamamoto on the heads of the skeleton. Yamamoto uses his final stage named Zanka no Tachi North, slicing Yhwach in half. Yhwach begins to apologize, saying he's sorry for not carrying out your orders. Yamamoto frees and asks him, who are you apologizing to if you're the leader of the Quincy's? And in a split second, he sees the real Yhwach arrive to the battlefield, saying that this guy on the ground was a Stern Rider of his group. And while Yamamoto was occupied, he was visiting a familiar foe named Aizen. The scene cuts to a quick conversation between Yhwach and Aizen. Yhwach tried to persuade Aizen because he wanted Aizen to be a part of his group, but Aizen declined his offer. Yamamoto tried to use his Bankai again, but Yhwach stole his Bankai, leaving Yamamoto in shock and confusion. Yhwach states that the only reason why no one can take your Bankai was because I was the only one that can control the power you possess, then slices Yamamoto with his blue energy sword.